Okay, hold on 1 minute. Something's going on. Our camera isn't showing up.
Are we even streaming if there aren't technical difficulties?
Give me a second. Give us 1 second. Wait. Wasn't this?
Sorry for the delay. I swear we're here.
That's there. Sorry.
Are we showing up now?
There we are.
Okay, hi.
I think it was because I didn't select webcam on that before I opened the program. So,
Hello, everyone.
learned our lesson.
Yep, hopefully you're a little brighter. We're a little brighter on the screen than we are for ourselves right now.
That is not. Okay, so we're going to do it this way. Maybe. There's you. How am I? Look like I'm telling scary stories.
Yep.
Okay.
We obviously did the equipment check for this. We're quite obviously professionals. You should probably tilt that upward.
I don't know if the tilt is something to have with this one.
No, I would hope so. Not. Oh, pretty light.
Hey, this was a gift.
I know it was. Anyway, welcome to the Dicey Drive-In.
I'm Witchy Mitchy.
I'm Susie Q. We are
Legay married.
Legate Married.
And we turn your favorite films and
Books
movies
and TV shows and what have you into a playable D&D campaign.
Yes.
So today we are covering.
Let me turn this on.
Did that help?
No,
No.
made it worse.
No. Love and Monsters.
I'm so dark right now. Hold on. Sorry, we didn't look at how it came out on the camera. We just tried to light better, and it didn't quite pan out how we expected.
To be fair, she's the one that messed with it. I didn't. I have more experience in photography lighting, so you should know better.
It should be like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
How am I looking now?
Better.
There we go.
Now the low light looks weird because it's like super bright. Maybe you should just turn it off.
Hold on. Let's see if I can turn it down. What's up? Stop listening.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to be talking about Love and Monsters, which is actually, we just watched for the first time today. Because we were looking for something that would be fun with this. And it's more of a flexible thing. If you haven't seen Love and Monsters, it's a movie on Netflix. Came out about
It
2
came
years
out.
ago.
Okay, so it came out video on demand first.
Oh,
October of 2020, and then it re-released on Netflix, I think November of 2021.
okay, so the pandemic messed with it.
The pandemic really messed with it, and I feel like it may not get another one because of that, and I really regret that, because it
was a lot of fun.
it had potential for, so this is how I explained it to my mother, because my parents also enjoy watching some of these like kind of campy movies where it's like there's giant monsters and stuff.
It's just like silly, doesn't take itself too seriously, but has a little bit of depth to it.
In that, and we should do this at some point. Now you have to watch it. In that you know what you're expecting when you go in from the title. It is much like Cowboys and Aliens.
Excuse me.
But then, much like Cowboys and Aliens, proceeds to be way better than it has any right to be.
I would say the closest thing to it is Zombieland,
Yes.
but instead of zombies, you have monsters, still post-apocalyptic, and the characters are more wholesome.
And instead of IBS, the character freezes up when there are monsters present.
Yep. And it is really, really cute. It's a fun watch. I didn't even realize my phone wasn't in the room, which says a lot because I can't sit still and watch things. It's very difficult for me.
ADHD be a bitch.
It really is.
Especially since someone's not allowed to have her meds with Bebe.
Yeah. So I'm really struggling. Work was a killer this week. But this movie kept me engaged the entire time. Like, we were trying to find something I was interested in enough that I wouldn't fall asleep because pregnant lady had a long, hard day doing errands, and I am exhausted and haven't had a nap today, and I usually have one every day since I've been pregnant.
And while usually it is my job to take care of pregnant lady while running errands, I was kind of being taken care of because I was having an autism overload while running errands.
Yeah, and we're a team. So when one, when there's a little bit of slack, the other one picks it up.
She took care of me.
I took care of her, and we did the errands and everything. I'm just very tired afterward. But don't worry, I ate, and we're all good. Hi, Ghost. And he was a great boy today.
He was doing his job as best he could, but, like, at the same time, I was having a rough go of things, particularly because, and the older generation, they call us entitled. I don't get it. It's like,
we were raised to be considerate of other people, and every old person we ran into today, which was like 85% of the people we came across,
and let's be
selfish assholes.
Let's start out. The stores were not crowded.
No,
they were not crowded. But every time we needed something from an aisle, there would be one old person in front of us taking their dear sweet time, and we would be waiting patiently, and then there would be another old person up our ass
and giving us dirty looks.
And it's like, okay, the
or
old people need to fucking decide what you're doing now.
Backing out in parking
lots.
Holy
shit.
Not being patient, not looking, being super rude, giving us dirty looks for no reason. When we were courteous and mannerful and kept to ourselves.
I mean, I know my roots look awful right now, but...
I mean, same.
Come on.
Whoa! Usually we don't have that much of a grumpy people problem. I think it might have been the snow.
Because the only people who went out
were old people.
And now in bad moods because snow.
Yeah. It's like, move. Anyway. Like, so, beside bitching about our tours...
How on earth were there so many snowbirds in Florida trying to kill us on the roadways? And then they still live here, too, in the winter.
People that live here can't afford to be snowbirds.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, so the point of that being that Ghost and I had a very long day. We're both tired. So this movie was actually engaging enough to where we were able to pay attention the whole time. Except Ghost slept through most of it. But the dog was like a main character, and the dog had character development. And this was a real, like, 2 trained dogs, like, actors, who, it wasn't super cheesy, it was just super wholesome. And I really enjoyed it. Like, everyone had character development, and it really took an apocalyptic movie and gave it hope, which is not something you see, ever. Like, they're like, oh, the world can build from this, we can do better, even though it looks terrible, there are ways to
kind of, they left you with hope. Whereas
in the beginning, I was like, I would off myself, man. Whereas at the end, it's like, oh, I could totally do that, you know? So, I thought it was great. Anyway, enough gushing about the movie. We thought it would be great to turn into a campaign, and it can really go one of 2 ways. It could be, like, a one-person campaign. Like, obviously, there can always be campaigns where the DM only has one player, and you do a one-on-one thing, because not everybody has the same schedule.
I think for this, however, because it does the adventure itself, not the one character's journey, just the journey across land with monsters. It's textbook D&D.
Yeah.
Journey across land with random encounters with monsters.
Because you're on your way to see someone you love or to accomplish something that's important to you.
That is the D&D with a nice little bow on
And this whole premise is that the main kid, he was the kid that played the the main person in Maze Runner, and he was
the main character in American Assassin. He was first known for Teen Wolf, where he played the comedic relief best friend, and I did watch a few seasons of that, and he was also okay.
He's super cute, like in a Boy Next Door way. And the whole thing was that
Dylan O'Brien.
He went through this apocalyptic event where there was an asteroid coming for Earth, so naturally everybody shot missiles at it. But the asteroid wasn't the problem; it was all the fallout from the missiles that basically mutated everything on Earth into
chemicals.
There's chemicals. Basically, re-entering the atmosphere, fucking things up, turning insects and amphibians into gigantic
radioactive
monsters.
shit and chemicals just mixing together and turning everything into giant monsters.
So basically, the 95% of the population of Earth died in the first year.
I will 100% say at least 70% of the monsters that they actually encountered during the course of the movie are basically ripped straight out of the monster manual.
They're very similar.
Like
you don't
there's
even have
basically
to
a frog hemoth in the first 15
minutes. It was definitely
minutes.
a frog behemoth, except its tongues grabbed things like a sock.
There was a very, it wasn't the climax, but climactic scene with a purple worm.
Yeah.
But it was just pink.
Yeah.
That was.
And the teeth looked more human. They were flat and wide, but then pointy at the bottom.
They were pointy in the middle. What were you looking at? It had Demogorgon teeth.
But then further back, it had teeth, fang teeth.
That's what I'm saying.
Like wolves, and then some of them were front teeth, but pointed at the bottom. It looked like they were super wide.
I didn't notice the wide ones. I just noticed the fangs.
Even though it's something that's similar to what was in the Monster Manual, it was also very original.
Yeah.
With their designs, they didn't rip off of anything. Not anything straight off. Or anything that's
it wasn't like
a regular lore monster.
It wasn't a direct this is exactly what it is, but
it's not a Starlight Pit worm.
If you'd played D&D, or you'd seen Stranger Things even,
and it had legs too,
and you'd watched even the D&D movie, you would kind of go.
That's similar. That's like this.
It's very, very similar, but they had enough of their own animation
twist
spin on it to where,
a
frog hemoth doesn't usually have a bunch of little eye stalks a beholder.
And the tongue doesn't act like a sock, and it doesn't actually charge after people through fences and shit, and then give up when you hide inside of a bus.
Also, I don't know if there are giant crabs in the monster manual. I'd have to look again.
I don't know. But, then there was, the thing, the purple worm thing also was a millipede. It had legs.
No, that was the other one.
Oh, the one with head, legs, and fins?
Yeah, those weren't the same thing.
Well, it had fins.
The fin one was not the one that was wrapped around the duck.
Not the millipede, yeah.
Was not the millipede.
So there was a giant millipede, which wasn't like anything else I've seen.
There might be something like it, but I'd have to dig, and I don't know its name.
It just kind of reminds me of something from a Sarah J. Maas book that Michelle has not read.
It's a long boulet.
And then, the worm thing had fins.
Had a fin. A single, dorsal fin. Like a shark fin.
Yeah, and moved very quickly.
Literal land shark.
Which I don't know that purple worms move that quickly, do they?
When they're digging, they have a huge fucking
Yeah, but even on land, it was shooting out of the land at him.
I don't know. Big slow things in D&D tend to be big and slow.
Yeah.
So,
there were also big and slow things, like the boulder snail. Which was adorable, by the way.
I love the boulder snail.
It was adorable. And they were good monsters. And the way that you could tell is in their eyes, but they made the eyes look more human. But you could see the kindness and the benevolence in it. Kind of like the never-ending story dog.
Well, I mean, you could see it on Ghost when he's looking at you.
Yeah, the compassion.
It's you can see the eyes have developed in a way to... They're not just predatory, shark eyes. They're
not dull. They're not white glazed like the millipede.
They actually have some expressiveness to them.
They do. And they just move slowly, and they kind of make eye contact, and if we're okay, we're cool. All right? You're not gonna kill me. I'm not gonna kill you.
We're
Sweet.
not
I'm
messing
just
with
gonna
each
go
other.
now.
I'll be on my way.
I'm gonna chill now, like a brontosaurus or something.
You've also gotta love a movie where, like, and I will ruin this for all of you. The dog survives. You gotta love a movie where the dog survives.
Yeah.
It doesn't get I am legended just because it's the end of the world.
And he has his own storyline and
an entire story arc with character development just for the fucking dog.
The dog does not talk.
They took care of the dog when it came to character development.
Yeah.
You can't ask for more effort.
It was emotional. It was scary. Sometimes, I mean, it wasn't scary, but like for other people who don't watch horror movies all the time, it could be scary, suspenseful.
You could literally have just.
But there was so much
dog.
love in it.
You could literally. It's love and monsters. It's
quite
literally like the whole premise of the movie.
It is spot on.
And
it's every form of love. It's not just romantic love.
No, it's
when you say
love
and monsters,
it's found
it
family
sounds like
love.
people making out in front of monsters, which I mean is a very small part of it. It's mostly relationships
I don't
between
think that
people.
happened in front of monsters, but there's familial love, there's found family love, there's platonic love, there's romantic love, and the entire thing is based on someone's romantic love of someone else inspires the entire journey.
It was given family, it was found family, it was getting to know people even though you don't always have something in common because you have a common goal. Or
even if it's just survival.
New flames, people becoming more emotionally intelligent or changing over the course of their lives. Like, it was multifaceted.
Yeah.
And which was great for
D&D
Campaign.
It depicted every different kind of love, and it depicted monsters.
Yep.
It did its job.
Yep.
You get what you're in for.
And you get monsters, you get
comedy.
Not even just that, but I mean, like, you have robots.
Yeah, you have robots because it's like somebody.
There's a lot of comedy.
The Mavis robot, which we will actually address as playable stuff.
It's more of an NPC because it's so short.
It's so short, but like if you wanted to put one in, you could argue that it is.
I can only come for one campaign. Can I help out? Or
we could argue that it's just an artificer warforged, armorer warforged.
Yeah.
And that's how that character plays. They play as they're the C-3PO of the group in a way.
Well, yeah, you could be more involved and kind of spin off of it.
That's what I'm saying. I would advise, and that's what I was getting to before, I would advise if you're going through this in the way that the journey itself lends itself so much to D&D, I would advise, especially if you want to do a longer term campaign, making a diversion from the movie.
But this movie is also based on a book. And I don't know if it's a book series. I want to say it probably is. But if you this could be an entire campaign, like multi-year campaign, depending on the books and how in depth they go. But what we do on this channel is like, you want to play that movie straight through, you're wanting to play that movie as a campaign, as it is. So if you're sticking with it, there's not a whole lot of room for diversion. But we encourage you to use this as a whole universe.
Yeah, and this is just.
He even makes his own monster manual.
Yeah, he basically makes a monster manual. He literally calls it a monster manual, I think.
Yeah.
But the volumes 1 and 2. But the entire thing, and maybe in a way there's a case to be made for Bard there.
Maybe like if you're multi-classing.
Or a guild artist background at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
A guild artisan background because
motherfucker. Bit of artificer because he does the radio.
Well, he talks on the radio. I guess he fixes the radio. Well, so he's got a proficiency in tinker's tools at least.
And he cooks.
And proficiency with, by the end of it, the Prismacolors, the artist stuff. So he's got proficiency in two tool sets. So like artisan's tools, tinker's tools. So I would say a guild artisan background because he can cook and he can draw and he can fix things.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
ultimately,
he
you're
also
starting.
tells stories on the radio too. At the end, he has the recorded.
So I would say
Story.
there's a case to be made for at least one level in Bard. But the main thing that we're going to see from most of the players of this campaign is it might be an Oops All Ranger campaign.
Is that a chat message or is that just the normal?
That's just welcome to the chat room.
Okay. And I think with this that if you're doing this as just a once through, just a one-on-one, what was I saying?
That you have other people come in every now and then.
Well, not even just then. Like, even if you can't, like, it's still a lot of fun for, like, the DM. They have plenty of things that they can do. But I guess what I'm saying is, if it's going to be a limited thing, you'd not really start at level 1. You would just have really shitty stats. Because this main character starts as not being skilled at all and learning along the way from the people that he meets.
That's what I'm saying. If you want to do the one-on-one, this is one of those tables where everyone's got a fucking scheduling conflict.
You gotta start at like level 5.
Every single person except for like one other person has a scheduling conflict. And they all kind of know what goes on at the table because maybe you're recording it and you put it up on YouTube or whatever.
Or
you stream it or whatever, and they can watch it, but they can't always be there.
Right.
And so what you do with that is you have them come in and they're higher levels. Your character, your person who's there all the time, starts from fucking level 1. Because this motherfucker, when this movie starts...
Well, I'm saying if it's going to be like a limited, like only like 7... Why can't I think of the name for not...
7 sessions?
Session. It was like a 7 session once a month thing. You couldn't start from level 1 because then you'd never get done.
Well, I'm not saying...
Or you'd have like
well,
5 milestone level ups for each session.
No. You don't have to be level 20 till near the end of a campaign. So,
yeah,
like, you would still have... You could have 1 or 2 per session, but, like... Or you could have 1 total, and then each session you're a new level and do, like, 20 sessions and be done.
It would have to be milestone leveling.
Yeah, it would have to be milestone leveling, and at the same time, like... This character gets extremely lucky in a few points, whereas in D&D, if you were going up against these monsters, they'd be CR, you're fucked. So that's why I say I would use the movie as a loose base for your actual party, and let the party be, you know, your... And we'll get into what each person would be given this scenario, and let them be who they are, and then maybe the girl at the end is somebody's girlfriend who is kind of up on it but didn't really feel like playing D&D and now just kind of wants to join and see what it's like.
Or maybe they're in a long distance relationship
and they just can finally show up, which is hilariously cathartic because the whole thing is about
like a long distance. Well, what he thinks is a long distance relationship,
basically. Let's not spoil all of that.
Yeah.
To a degree, it still kind of is.
Yeah.
But and it could be, but I'm saying it could be somebody's significant other who's like watched them play D&D and they've been to the sessions and they'd be like,
I don't know.
And then at the end they're like, can I just like for like 1? And you're like, sure, give me like a level fucking 20 character. You can be here and you can beat some ass.
Yeah.
Like that
would be easy too.
That would be easy for like the...
But you wouldn't need... I think it would be... You don't need a bunch of other people coming in if you can't get anyone else. The DM can handle it.
I would give that character 2 things. Couple levels in Cleric, the rest of the way, it's Berserker Barbarian.
Oh, for Amy?
For Amy?
Yeah.
Yes. Picks up the fucking shield thing and just at the dude.
Yeah. She's like, I can take 3 assholes.
I was like,
take care of the crowd.
I was like, that's a barbarian.
Yeah, but let's talk about the main character.
Okay.
We were saying that, like, if you really wanted to go for accuracy, a few levels in like Artificer and Bard. But mainly you would be a Gloomstalker. Or no. Beast Slayer.
I'm gonna say
Monster Slayer.
the Monster Slayer Ranger from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Partially because of, and shout out to Dungeon Dudes. Partially because they say, Dungeon Dudes says that this is the bread and butter of Monster Slayer Ranger, and that it's Monster Slayer is geared toward finding, tracking down, and hunting big ass monsters, which is the entirety behind this movie. And 2, they said they also, to a degree, even along those lines, couldn't 100% see them doing that even as well as a hunter who did it well, a hunter ranger, just hunter. And I think that this character gets lucky a lot. This character has a lot of lucky shots.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Might have taken the lucky feat to start out with, which I'd say, yeah, Variant Human takes the lucky feat. Motherfucker gets lucky a shit ton in this movie. And
your stats would not be great starting out for a ranger. I would say he has fairly high charisma because he gets along with everybody.
Yeah, everybody loves him. Everybody fucking loves him.
As soon as they get to know him for more than 5 seconds, they love him.
And
you
it's
can't
like
help but love him because he's just a sweetheart.
He's everybody's little brother, to a degree.
And then he becomes more like the older brother at the end.
Yeah, and he kind of grows into himself. It's almost a coming of age journey
for him over the course
of a week.
Yeah, which is insane.
Which again is kind of how time is depicted in D&D.
Yeah, but near-death experiences will do that to you. But at the same time, everybody in this, a lot like D&D, has some sort of trauma because it's the apocalypse and 95% of the population has died because so many, like the militaries and like giant hordes of monsters took each other out. So there's still monsters, still plenty of them, but like the crazy big ones are gone. But people still are living underground because they don't know how to deal with these things.
So Dylan O'Brien's Joel.
Yep.
Which, fuck, haha, Joel, Last of Us.
Yeah.
End of the world.
The way that they did when the world was left over after the apocalypse happened, it is very reminiscent of the Last of Us games when you really get to see.
They are kind of colonies. It's very similar to that.
It's a lot less.
There's less militaristic shit and more it's just people with improvised weapons
because the military's gone,
which again lends itself to D&D because like you run out of bullets at some point and nobody knows how to fucking make them anymore. Well,
yeah, electricity's not really a thing anymore.
It's been 7 years. Most people ran out of ammo. So Dylan O'Brien's Joel, I would say Variant Human took the lucky feat because the Variant Human Tasha's thing, which allows for a feat, starts with a guild artisan background with a proficiency in tinker's tools and artisan's tools, and he can cook. And is going towards a Monster Slayer Ranger.
Yep,
flat out.
That's what he's wanting to do, even though he has 0 experience.
Which is how you feel when you start out, especially your first campaign at level 1.
Right, and if you're not starting out at level 1, I mean, with all those other things, you could start out at a few levels up, but it feels like level 1 because all of the things you need in order to be that adventurer are just...
Yeah, you don't get them until later.
Yeah, you have to work for them. And that's what the greatest part about this is. You get to see his growth. It's not just, over time I've become hardened. It's, I'm usually the person in the back taking care of things, and now I'm wanting to be up front. No one has taken the time to teach me. I'm having to learn on my own, and then there are some people who are patient enough to take the time and teach me. And it's great being able to see someone that you can really relate to as someone who is clumsy, seeing him go from someone like me to being the kind of person he wanted to be and being a badass, it's just really cool to see that progression. And it's the same thing in D&D. Like, you're wanting to go from more of a back character, like say a wizard or you know, an artificer or what have you, to more of a frontline, like, battle heavy character. And to be able to build that up, you have other than basically your NPCs helping you out along the way, which is a lot of what this storyline was. It was just basically a D&D campaign that was more modernized and apocalyptic. Without magic.
Yeah, it was modernized. It had radios. That's literally most of the tech they had was radios. CB radios.
They had some electricity.
And you know what? You know what?
And robots. But most of them were dead.
This motherfucker didn't even have Find Familiar. Did not have it. Mm-mm. Did have Animal Friendship.
Yep.
Which is on the Ranger spell list.
Yep. That makes sense. Makes friends with the dog named Boy, who had been left behind by his owner who had been killed. And they kind of bond over that trauma.
And I'm not 100% that you couldn't make the case that Speak with Animals wasn't being used. Because there's a lot of shit that just, even from the beginning, they basically look like they're having conversations.
The dog, oh yeah, he's just talking to him like we do.
And the dog understands to a degree what he's saying and responds.
Yeah.
And that's literally what Speak with Animals does. They don't talk back to you most of the time.
Well, and if he's artificer, maybe he has a few different things that he can do alchemy-wise, like create a potion of Speak with Animals, until he can actually get to that point of having those abilities as a ranger. He probably has some stockpiles at that point, because he was with a colony to begin with, and he branched off from them, but he did take some provisions with him that could have been potions.
Because, and I'll read you the official description from the Player's Handbook of Speak with Animals. You gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters, including whatever they can perceive or have perceived within the past day. You might be able to persuade a beast to perform a small favor for you at the DM's discretion. And what I will say with Speak with Animals on this, they make it very literal and the animals talk back in Baldur's Gate 3. But traditionally, from what I've heard, it doesn't say anywhere in the description that it says you can verbally communicate with the animals. It never says the animals can verbally communicate back.
Right.
Which could be interpreted as they tell you with their body language, oh, something's the fuck up over there.
Well, they can make their own decisions too. If you bond over time, you don't always need to be able to command an animal to do something. They'll do it for you.
Yeah, they eventually just start to realize, and that's
like right now he's leaning up against me and snuggling me because he's helping me calm down from being tired. He's a good
not
boy.
Tired, but stressed.
Stressed and tired.
Well,
it's stressing me out that I'm tired. Such as anxiety.
You don't need to be calmed down from being tired. You need to be calmed down from being stressed.
From being stressed about being tired
was what I was saying.
Man, anxiety is a bitch. Anyway.
So, and I would say this highly specialized monster slayer is what he's going towards the entire time. And then after he meets, and you could also make the case if somebody really wanted to be in the party at that point, if you're going straight through, that this is a druid that just stays in wild shape. The whole fucking time.
What, the dog?
Yeah.
No.
People have said that shit constantly, and they do this where they have their own pets at the table. Where,
oh my god. Have their dog roll the D20 toy.
And it's just a druid who's always in wild shape.
I could see it if maybe, because we've heard different tales of some druid stayed in wild shape for so long that they stayed that way. They got stuck. I could see that, but like purposely staying as the dog the entire time.
That's
I
more
don't
of
see
a
that
first
working
of all,
out.
that's more of a true polymorph thing. And
Yeah.
second
I mean,
of all,
Apocalypse, I would want to be a dog too. Like easier to eat.
that could be the dog's backstory, and it's not necessarily another player.
That's
that
up
it's
to the
just
DM's discretion.
someone who used true polymorph, like a scroll of true polymorph on themselves, because they'd just rather be a dog at this point.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Especially with the apocalypse happening, you lose your entire family.
Fuck it,
Might as well
I'm
be
a dog.
Like, it's easier to live that way when you're by yourself in the middle of monsters, because he's obviously smart. He knows what animals and things to bark at. He knows when to hide. He knows when to attack. He's pretty self-sufficient for a dog.
Except for his dependency on Binky.
Yeah,
the red
until
dress.
The end.
Anyway, but
he can open doors for himself.
Yeah, including a door to a bus.
Yeah, I mean, this guy would do it. If it was turned off and it was just like an accordion door.
You know who was faster at figuring that out than him? Hawkeye.
I'm not surprised.
My mother was like, dog's stupid. I'm like, no, dog's puppy dumb, doesn't know how big he is. Is always doing, but randomly does the smartest shit I've ever seen a dog do.
Yeah.
Like,
he's not self-aware.
No.
Just very excited about it.
Whereas he's very self-aware.
Yeah,
he's too self-aware
he's
at times.
He's a human, I swear.
At
some points. Right, Ghost?
And if you're the person who wound up with Hawkeye, thanks for giving him a home. I wasn't able to take him to Florida with us.
But he's fine. He's pretty great.
Yeah. I do love a good husky boy.
Yeah. Little boy.
Anyway.
And he's a service dog. That's why I said he's snuggling me to calm me down, because he actually does know that. He's trained for it.
It's pressure therapy.
I'm not delusional, I promise.
No, he's literally doing pressure therapy.
Yeah.
Ever since Susie got pregnant, he's most of the time at home he's trying to work for her.
I need him surgically removed from my anus. Basically.
But, and this is what I was trying to say before, was this is if you're going straight through. And it's just the movie. If you're doing something like the movie and you have a party, they can all meet each other along the way within the first session, and it feel organic, and it can meet almost like the movie does. But they can choose to stay together or not wherever.
And the colony members are really up to like whatever the DM feels. It's not so progressed into their skill set that they can't lend themselves to whatever class you want.
Yeah. And that's something else. Like, anybody could be anything given this scenario. You could literally just set your D&D campaign in the world of Love and Monsters and not have the same story at all.
The only in-depth characters you really need to worry about are Joel, Amy,
and the dog.
The dog, and the
Clyde and Minnow.
Yeah, Clyde and Minnow.
But that's what I was about to say was, if you've got your Clyde and your Minnow,
which, if you haven't watched the movie, older guy and a little girl who are traveling together because they used to be in the same place. Her dad and dude's son got killed in the same attack, so they kind of stuck together. And they're trying to travel up to the mountains where there is a colony where it's cold enough that most monsters stay away because they're all insects.
So you didn't recognize her.
Minnow is the little girl.
But that was Sasha from Barbie movie. That was the daughter from
Minnow
the Barbie movie.
The little 8-year-old.
The little girl was the daughter from the Barbie movie.
Nuh-uh.
And she plays young Ahsoka on Ahsoka.
What the fuck? It seems like a huge age, but I guess her character was 8, but she could have been.
Yeah. She could have been older and then just like, but then
dirtied up.
At the same time, like, this is a kid in what, 2020, not 2019, when the movie was actually made.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got another like 4 years between, and then the Barbie movie comes out. She should still be a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the daughter from the Barbie movie. And Michael Rooker, most of you will know him as Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy.
2.
And the first one. He raised...
Oh yeah, you get to barely
Quill.
see him, but you really get to know him in the second one. Nobody knew who Yondu really was in the first one. The second one made him super popular.
Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah, I know. And then I forgot.
And he was also...
He died in the second.
He was also the same actor that from when we covered Suicide Squad. He was the first guy.
Savant. He was Savant.
Yeah.
He was
He's in a lot of stuff.
He's also the racist guy who dies within the first few episodes of The Walking Dead.
I haven't watched it, so... Anyway.
That's the first thing I ever saw him in. The
He
Walking
is
Dead.
very, like, older Southern guy.
Older Southern hippie almost gives with the hat he had on.
Yeah.
It was like an actual fedora, not a trilby, not a neck beard, like an actual flat-brimmed fedora.
Well, it was like almost like, what's it called? Panama Jack hat.
Yeah, but it was like somewhere between a flat-brimmed fedora and a cowboy hat almost.
That's
but
what
like
Panama Jack hat is. It's basically for like exploring and...
Panama Jack hat is for safaris. It comes down at an angle.
It doesn't come down really at an angle, and you can clip them up. They have like netting up at the top so it breathes.
This is more a hat Pharrell would wear.
Oh, no, not really. It's not a felt.
It was felt.
Not like that kind of felt.
It absolutely was just brown felt.
Anyway,
It was
point
a
is, it was a practical hat, and he and the girl really taught each other a lot because the girl's dad was like the best archer in their colony,
and her dad and his son died together
fighting a monster when they lived in a subway station.
So they kind of took on the parent-child relationship from there, and you can tell.
Yep, and they help each other out. They're both good at their own things. They have their own rules of survival. They have a really great relationship. It's very much like Ellie and Joel. But the little girl's younger than Ellie was.
So the girl who looked like she was about to cry all the time in the original colony was Kayla. She was also the voice of Mavis.
Aw. Anyway, Mavis is the robot. They basically say at the beginning that they're all pretty much like run out at the end. They were like brand new when they first came out, and all of them have died. But the main character Joel comes across one randomly in like a hotel that's broken down because her legs got.
We're backtracking to Minnow and Clyde.
Sorry, ADHD.
Minnow and Clyde. I'm gonna say Clyde might be, if we're going mostly Oops All Ranger,
Beastmaster.
might be either, and I want to say if nobody's allowed to play the same thing, that Clyde would be our Gloomstalker. Would be the one who was able to just kind of snake through the darkness, like.
That's true. Knows where to step, where not to go, things like that. And the little girl's really good at hunting.
So I would say she would be the hunter.
Yeah.
And that it would be a Gloomstalker, a hunter, and a monster slayer.
Yeah. She's even sharpshooter.
And she had the sharpshooter feat all fucking day. She had the sharpshooter feat. And she teaches Joel how to fucking shoot.
With the light crossbow.
And
an improvised light crossbow.
And then we run into, at another point in the movie, the Mavis robot, which is supposed to be the next big thing that was coming when the monsters all did the thing. So it was like somewhere, I wouldn't say quite Love, Death, and Robots era robot, but we were on our way there.
Yeah, it's very similar to. It reminded me of that one where they were toward,
and it was all the robots being
apocalypse, yeah.
and that's the main the tall robot,
Yeah.
but with like the mind of the pyramid shape.
Yep,
one.
exactly. With like the hat. It's just fucking hilarious. Anyway, she was very sweet. And
very emotionally intelligent for a robot.
You could tell she was programmed well for that. But like, she only lived because her legs got ripped off by a monster, so she kind of put herself in power saving mode until she could come across like another human, basically, and she just hung out there for years
in like a hotel because she was
abandoned.
She was obviously the greeter for the hotel,
or like
she was
supposed probably to be, like the front desk person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the front desk at the hotel. And I think if there's a Mavis in the party, because there was a Mavis in their bunker that was powered down.
And dead. It was completely dead.
It was completely dead. Because her core battery had just died.
Yeah.
I would say that Mavis would be an artificer warforged and would be armorer subclass, artificer warforged. And I think this is a campaign where you are safe to stay mostly unmulticlassed unless you are Amy. Because Amy has some cleric, and Amy has a lot of barbarian.
Well, I mean, you can take a feat to do a few cleric thingies.
I don't know if Magic Initiate is an actual feat or if they just made that shit up for Baldur's Gate 3. I actually do not know that as a DM, and I feel bad for not knowing.
She's gonna look it up.
I am gonna look it up. I'm gonna do what all DMs do: own the book and Google it anyway. Magic Initiate 5e.
And I would say that
Bard,
like
cleric, druid, warlock, yeah.
The races wouldn't really matter with Minnow and
first level spell to learn from that same list.
I don't see Minnow and
the first level
Clyde really needing to be a specific species or race.
No.
They can really be up to whatever you want.
I would say if you have adults playing at the table and they're just trying to just kind of mimic the aesthetic, I would say Minnow would be something smaller like a gnome or a halfling or a...
Or it could even just be like a young tabaxi.
Or just...
Tabaxi kitten.
Anything that's small, right?
Well, and spry.
I would say, well then you'd want to go... I mean, gnome or halfling can be spry, it just depends on your stats.
But she's a child. It's not necessarily that she has to be.
I'm saying if the person doesn't want to full on play a child, they could just play a smaller small species. Yeah.
Yeah. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Clyde.
Thank you.
Clyde would probably be a human.
Clyde could be a human. You could have a bunch of humans in this campaign, and it wouldn't be a total issue.
No, because I mean they're supposed to be surviving against the odds,
and most of them suck. So like that tracks for D&D humans.
Yeah.
The stat boosts are not that great for humans.
You have more to fight for when you're a human because your lifespan isn't that great and.
Your lifespan's not perfect, and your looks aren't perfect, and your skill sets aren't perfect. You're not super great at anything.
No real advantages.
Like, you literally...
You would need to live underground.
If you're a human, and these are the differences, you know how most species get a +1 or a +2, or 2+2s, or 3+1s to... this stat or that stat.
Right.
Humans just get a +1 to everything, and that's their thing. They're like a weird jack of all trades, and that's the normal human. The Tasha's human lets you basically pick 2 stats and get a +2 and a +1. And then also take a feat, which is why I said take the variant human as Joel, because you want that feat, you want the lucky feat.
Yeah.
And then you get like probably +2 charisma, +1 dexterity at the start. And then you pump all the rest of your stats into dex for the rest of the fucking game.
Yeah, because your other stats would be fairly good. I mean, he's not stupid. He's not.
No,
not great at being a warrior.
Yeah, like you rolled relatively basic on stats
because he can jump out of the way, and
that's why I said
he can get like the stuff put together. He just didn't know how to fight. He would freeze.
Yeah, and between the +1 and the lucky feat,
I would say strength would also be super low.
No, I'm fine with strength being super low. I'm saying if we're taking the Tasha's variant one, the variant human, the +2 would be in charisma because everybody fucking loves him to start.
Mm-hmm.
And the +1 would be dex because he's enough dex to jump out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Which we see start with the dog in that scene. So we do see a steady progression of him not being scared to run and then not freezing entirely.
The dog kind of knocks him out of it.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid of losing the dog, or the dog will warn him when he doesn't know any better.
That dog did a lot for that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first... I would say that's the first accurate depiction in a movie I've seen of a service dog.
Mm-hmm. Very smart dog. Like, I don't know what kind of breed. Because it was a little smaller.
So, I mean, it's like the shit that he does that I haven't even trained him to do, like yelling at people who are bothering me.
A shepherd terrier mix of some sort?
Or, like, shoving me out of stores that I'm way too, like, freaked out to be in. Or, like, when he saved me from the fucking pit bull trying to attack me in Texas. Didn't train him for any of that shit. And he did it. That's basically all this dog does. That's this dog's whole purpose.
Yeah, and he was super well taken care of, so I think his human must have died like right before.
Yeah. And then, you know, you could literally have any number of people, but like their main improvised weapons for this movie all seem to be ranged. And then you have your bad guys come in. One is a battle master artificer.
100%.
Actually, I'd say that all three of them kind of are.
The captain, not as much.
The captain has a charlatan background for sure.
Which I mean, like, spoiler alert.
The captain 100% charlatan background.
Yeah.
And like Joel goes Monster Slayer all the way when he's not Bard for like a level or two just to get to inspire people. I mean, is there anything you get from Monster Slayer that... No. Like, this shit stops at level 15. You could literally take 5 levels in Bard. I would take 3. And if we're doing Bard subclasses, I'm gonna say, just for the sheer, like, basicness of it, that it would be Lore Bard.
Yeah, but he doesn't really spellcast.
No, but... While lore is heavy into spellcasting, like they have, I think they have the best perks for their inspiration. If I'm not out of my mind here, which you know is up in the air for anybody living past 2020, because we all went through a sort of apocalypse where we were in bunkers.
First in 2016 and then 2020.
I'm talking about having to shelter in place.
I thought we were talking about trauma in general.
No, 8 years of that. Oh no, we could say.
Oh god, there's a presidential election this year.
Yeah, we could say. You know what? We're gonna say College of Valor. No one
Yeah,
ever
it
says
sounds-
College of Valor. College of Valor's the shit for this one.
Yeah, that's perfect for him.
Yeah, Joel's College of Valor Bard 3 levels, and the other 17 all in Monster Slayer Ranger.
Yeah.
May have had one level in Bard to start, but
I don't think he even really needs Artificer for just the radio.
no, that's just a Tinker's Tool proficiency. And the Artificer Mavis, if that starts with the party, can just help fix that along the way. And he doesn't even need that proficiency if that proficiency is already in the party. The party doesn't have to split up like happens in the movie.
They all stick together, though her legs are missing. You would have to.
You don't. She
find a
doesn't
way
have
take
to
her
have
with
her
you.
legs missing in the game.
What was the point of her staying there then?
I'm saying you don't have to have that be a
She
thing.
would just be sitting there the whole time?
Or she would be like next to powered down, and then they have to find a power source, and that's kind of another like they have to go from power source to power source and figure out that throughout the campaign. And it's another place where if they stay there too long, hey, random encounter, monster comes up. Like,
Yeah.
it's this movie's universe lends itself so thoroughly to, especially a post-Eberron D&D campaign, that you could literally just have it set in the same world and it not be the same story at all. And if it could just be close to the same story, and you could have 4 or 5 people playing, which would make more sense with these monster encounters in D&D, because the difficulty level for one person and a dog, they ain't fucking living through that.
Yeah, you would have to take the monster difficulty level way down.
Way the fuck down. And that's the difference here. But I had a good time with this movie. It is super easy to think of as a campaign.
It really lends itself to it. They're very almost symbiotic.
They're like,
Makes me wonder if the books were inspired by a campaign.
which means in that way, which absolutely means you could totally make an infinite number of movies, shows, what have you, within the universe of Love and Monsters, which I would still love to see. I'd sit there and fucking watch it.
Or comics.
Comics. I want to read the books now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's based on the book. Hold on. We're gonna make sure of that. Love and Monsters book.
Might be a graphic novel. Anyway, that's pretty much all you need.
No. And the book with the same title has nothing to do with it, from what I can see.
Huh. Someone needs to write a book about it.
Yeah, this could be a book with deeper lore.
Because it's so well done.
No, it's
Just a movie.
No, it's a queer romance book.
Is it really?
The one that's got the same.
One that it might be inspired by, very loosely.
And then it says, people also ask, is Love and Monsters based on a book? So it says answer, no, Love and Monsters is not based on a book. It is an original screenplay written by Brian Duffield and Matthew Robinson.
Huh.
So
it's so cute. I loved it.
There are no concrete plans
and we're not big, like, I am pansexual. I do enjoy love stories in all their forms. But I don't typically, like, I enjoy it, but it's not like I'm super into it, super like straight romances, because they're just so overdone. But
the way this movie depicted
it, because it wasn't just romantic love, I loved it.
Yeah, it was up there.
Yeah.
It was
love in all of its forms, which is great because you don't have enough of those things.
You had Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
And it was good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I would say, arguably, better than Zombieland.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Arguably better than Zombieland, both because it evokes so many more emotions while you're watching it than Zombieland does.
And like,
It's not just fuck haha that's funny. There are a lot of fuck haha that's funny moments, and then there's also just like dealing with trauma on a deep fucking level.
on Zombieland? Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
On Love and Monsters.
Depending on what it
No,
is.
they talked about trauma in Zombieland, but it was
Never goes
hard.
further than
It
that.
was hard to take the like 2 points where they like acknowledge the trauma seriously, because like 2 seconds later they're back to like fart, pussy snot, like Twinkies, like just.
I enjoyed this cast more.
And this cast acted the part.
Like nothing
parts
against
more.
Michael Cera, but
You want to try that again?
that wasn't Michael Cera.
That was Jesse Eisenberg.
No wonder I don't give a fuck.
That was Jesse Eisenberg all day long. The
White
Social
boy
Network.
number 5 with curly hair.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, had a good time watching this movie. Had a easy as fuck time turning it into Campaign.
Yeah.
Like,
and you could easily make this into an entire world.
And this was just something we were like trying to settle on, something to watch.
Yeah.
That would keep Susie's attention because she's half asleep at all times from being preggo. And it was just ridiculous enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a baby, so there were points that I fucking cried. Not as hard as I cry at the end of Rise of the Guardians, but still points where I cried.
It was very sweet. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not, like, I love gritty stuff, and I've been in the mood for gritty stuff lately. I've been devouring true crime, but this was just, it was so surprising.
I've kind of been in the mood for weird shit.
And that was weird shit.
It was kind of weird shit, but like,
also great shit.
Yeah, it was levity enough to where, like, first of all, I've been having a rough fucking day. So like watching something with enough levity there to like not be what I've been listening to constantly, which is Tannis. I don't know where y'all went after the pandemic, but come back.
It turned her day around. It turned her attitude around.
It really did.
She went from having a really bad time and being in pain and not happy to giggling and being herself.
I was the grumps.
I hope we're not playing this up too much. It sounds like we're super hyping this movie, and I'd hate for somebody to be let down.
I would not say it is like the epitome of a cinema experience. No. What I would say is it's a fun enough romp to pull you out of a rough day.
It's a good time.
It's a good time. Awesome. And it is one of those movies that, like, if you're somebody like my family that tends to put on the same 6 movies all over again, like, you could throw this into the rotation and have it on in the background on a random Saturday, and it'd be fine. It's enough rewatch value to just kind of have it.
I tend to drift more towards, like, adult movies. Like, I love adult movies. And the more cursing, the better, and all that. But this was just, I was okay with it not.
You're so raised by old Southerners.
Why?
Because you say cursing instead of cussing.
Cussing? No, I say cursing because cussing sounds like a 5-year-old.
Or swearing.
Yeah, saying cussing sounds like a 5-year-old. I feel like a 12-year-old went like, yeah, I'm not supposed to cuss, but fuck that.
Yeah, but also swearing is out there as a word, too.
Whatever. Can't make everybody happy. The point is, I enjoy good character development, and every single character in this, including the fucking dog, has character development.
Yeah.
Like, positive character development. And it was just wholesome.
And I think that's what stands out and what a lot of people who like will shit on things like adult cartoons and stuff will like get onto is like, oh, it's so immature. It's so, and then they'll just watch shit where like one guy just beats the shit out of everybody, and that's like the whole show, and they're like, yeah, action. And I'm
I mean,
like,
John Wick is great, but I mean, what makes it great is that it's because of his dog. That's what makes it great.
and the guy doesn't want to be doing what he's doing, and there's a character arc for him in every movie he's in, and he's forced into a corner,
It's not
and it's
boring ass fucking
like that. There's
James Bond.
character. No, there's good things in the Daniel Craig ones at least. Skyfall's amazing. You still have to watch it.
Yeah, but not
So
fucking
Skyfall.
not Casino Royale, the one after.
Oh, fucking Quantum of Solace. That shit
Yeah.
was so fucking boring.
I didn't even bother watching.
So fucking boring.
She showed me the most interesting scene on YouTube,
and she
I
was still
bored.
bored.
I was bored.
And I thought it was cool for the use of the opera, and two, the fact that he was just like, yeah, I'm on these comms and I know who all of you are. Fuck you. Like that was a great catch, but like the rest of the movie's just boring garbage. And I love the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, except that one. I think during production on that, the tone shifted when they found out Amy Winehouse died and couldn't do the song for
That
the
was
movie.
Skyfall.
No, that was Quantum of
Oh,
Solace.
was it?
Yeah, and then they had Alicia Keys do it, and they like tried to like digitize and warp her voice till it almost sounded like something Amy Winehouse would make. And the sound of the song itself sounds like shit. And I love Alicia Keys. I fucking love Alicia Keys. But that song is probably one of the worst Bond songs. It's just not good. Whereas Adele came on for Skyfall. And the tone that was set by Adele for fucking Skyfall.
I think it might have gotten an Oscar that year.
No, it fucking won.
It did? Okay.
That
Well, I
that
meant the song.
Yes.
Yeah.
The song won. I was talking about the song. And Adele was giving an acceptance speech, and I remember that shit very clearly.
Where she performed.
Because that was in the middle of her whole weight loss thing. Because she was, like, breaking up with somebody toxic, and, like...
She only recently started losing weight. Yes, huh?
It wasn't just recent. She had just, like, started, and people were, like, commenting
not the
on
intense
it.
amount, like, recently, like Rebel Wilson and Adele.
Like, she was starting on that whole thing, and she's made more progress recently, but, like, people were commenting on it, and people were commenting, like, yeah, she loves it, and she's like, yeah, I just got out of a fucking toxic relationship. Of course I'm losing weight.
Yeah, she was single and had her kid, and she was happy having her kid and living her life.
Yeah.
That's what she does in between her albums.
But, like, Adele could sing to me anytime.
Oh, yes. She helped me get through my divorce. 21 is a great album. 25 is okay. 21 is better.
But Skyfall, so good.
I mean, we danced to Adele for
They-
our first dance.
They also, yes, we did. They also gave James Bond. They hint at it.
We should
because
probably talk about this ourselves. This has nothing to do with
Yeah. Well, go watch Love and Monsters.
We'll talk about James Bond ourselves.
We will talk about James Bond ourselves, and then we will probably turn at least one James Bond movie into a fucking campaign at some point.
Probably.
Because, like, you could argue that Felix is in the party.
I don't know.
Also, that guy's an amazing actor, too.
Who?
The guy who plays Felix in James Bond. Beatty from Hunger
Oh,
Games.
yep.
The guy
Yep.
from...
I know. Westworld.
Yeah.
He's a
Great
fantastic
fucking actor. Anyway, go
Yeah.
go watch Love and Monsters.
Play it as a D&D campaign.
Set your D&D campaign that has nothing to do with it in it.
Yeah.
It's like that world lends itself to D&D.
It really does.
We love you and have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.